Hey guys, Sean here. So if you're in a war, should you hold gold or is Bitcoin the better choice? Now, war today is no longer a fairy tale and it is increasingly important to secure our wealth. I'm talking about safe haven assets that can literally save your life and help you rebuild. Now, people, especially preppers, have been saying to stock food, fresh water, and secure your shelter if society collapses. And that is true, it's definitely important. But all this conventional wisdom gets thrown out the window when you're in a war. You need big stores of value that you can grab and flee with easily. There's a reason why you see people leaving their homes and houses behind. You can't bring your real estate wealth along with you. Right now, you're probably in a safe country watching this, but I think we really need to get prepared as both investors and human beings. The world is really getting messier, and with just one wrong step, we could all plunge into a global war filled with mushroom clouds appearing in the distance. Now, in this video, I really want to discuss which is the ultimate safe haven asset we should hold during war. I'm sure you have seen the tragic pictures of the Ukrainian refugees leaving their country for neighboring Poland. I know it's heartbreaking, right? The invasion is wrong, but let's focus on the financial aspect of fleeing your country in a time of war. Right now, the majority of people's wealth is tied up in either the stock market or their homes. Normally, in peacetime, this would be a good idea, but this is a horrible situation to be if your country is the one being attacked. The problem with paper assets is that it is within the financial system, and there is a good chance that your assets might be inaccessible during an emergency. Just remember that back in 9/11, the stock market fell by over 7%, people were panic selling, and they had to shut down the exchanges for 5 whole days. Now, how about real estate? You know, there is a reason why many insurance companies don't cover damages from war. And that's because how are you going to compute the damages if a missile blows up a home? And what if an entire city or town gets leveled? You know, that is the limitation of property. It is much better to rent than to own during a time of war. And this is where portable assets like gold and Bitcoin really shine. It's all about bringing across huge amounts of wealth across the border to start life anew. Even today, when we think of a safe haven asset, we probably think of gold, and there's a good reason why. You can store huge amounts of money in a very small and compact weight. For example, this 1 ounce gold coin stores around $2,000 worth of purchasing power. Now, this is the true definition of portable wealth. Gold is so valuable during times of chaos that during World War II, the British actually shipped over 1,000 tons of gold to Canada in case Nazi Germany managed to take over England. Now, it would allow Britain to continue fighting the Nazis from Montreal, and that's because gold was a true source of wealth that everyone recognized has value. And if a war happens, people smart enough to have some gold will be able to do the same thing, right? You can grab your gold and you can flee, you can cross the border with it and use it to start life afresh in a new land. But there are obvious risks that can happen when you're fleeing with that gold. Let's keep it real. When war happens and everyone is fleeing, chances are that the rule of law will start to break down. Crime will be more rampant and you need to hide your gold and defend yourself against thieves. It is what it is. People will be looking out for themselves. But on the contrary, holding physical gold can actually save your life. Back in the Vietnam War, thousands of refugees had to flee to other parts of Asia, and in order to buy themselves safe passage, they used gold to pay off smugglers to get themselves a ticket on a ship out of Vietnam. It took around 12 ounces of pure gold to buy their freedom away from Vietnam, and that's almost $25,000 today. You know, in fact, one survivor of such a journey said that they were given a pure gold ring to wear by their family and to barter with if they ever got separated. It was that bad, and it was gold that actually saved their lives. Now, the advantage of gold to Bitcoin is that this yellow metal here is extremely basic. It's easy to buy, easy to hold, and easy to trade, right? Everyone across every nation knows that it holds value and it is welcome everywhere. Now, I see the value in Bitcoin, but when it comes to acceptability, at least today, it loses, right? Currently, the adoption rate for crypto is growing, but it is not just quite there yet. I still believe that cryptos like Bitcoin really does give some incredible utility and benefits that gold just doesn't have. Now, the beauty of Bitcoin is the ability to transfer wealth across borders in an instant. You can virtually flee holding nothing of value, and once you're out of the country, you can retrieve your wealth quite easily. Now, that's provided you still remember your public and private keys to your crypto wallet, and let's just assume that you do. Now, the great thing is that you don't have to fear any robberies or any precious metals confiscation. You just need to stay alive, which is probably going to be the greatest challenge anyway. And that's why I believe crypto does have an edge over gold in this aspect, because at the speed that you can transfer your money away. Now that's how Ukraine is getting their donations to fund their defense efforts, and I think crypto will continue to play a role in future conflicts of securing one's wealth, but there's still some risk to using it. You can transport your crypto through the internet to a hot wallet, but that means exposing your money to online attacks. Plus, if you decide to transport your money on a cold wallet, which is essentially a glorified thumb drive, you have essentially introduced physical risk on your digital money. I think we need to realize that the wars of the future aren't just going to be fought on the ground. There's going to be a financial and cyber element to it, and we are already seeing this. The United States has slapped Russia with a multitude of sanctions and effectively cut away their banks from most of the financial world. And the thing about Bitcoin is that unless the adoption problem is solved, it is still somewhat connected to the financial system, right? To buy most of our necessities today, if you hold only cryptos, you gotta still swap them for cash at exchanges. Now that is the final point of transfer and is still connected to the banking system, and it's not impossible for cyber warfare to take down the internet or at least crash the websites of exchanges, right? We already know from the last few years that anything can happen today, and that is why holding some physical gold isn't a bad idea, even if you're completely sold on the idea that cryptos is the better solution. At the very least, it can help you barter for food and shelter until the online world is back up and running. Now, what if you're living in a country that started the war? What does war mean for you financially there? I think we can already see from the sanctions hitting Russia that as a civilian there, you'll be affected quite badly as well, right? Your local currency can take a free fall, your stock market could collapse, and it'll be really harder to import the things that you really need, right? Things like energy, food, and medical supply. It's really a disaster if the world cuts you off and your country isn't self-sufficient. And that's why people on the streets of Russia are facing inflation rates of over 9%, and bank runs are getting more and more common. Now, at this point, if you are holding crypto, the problem still circles back to the issue of acceptability, right? Bitcoin only has like a 10 to 20 year history, and it is still too complex for the average person on the street to understand and much less transact in. And this is where old-fashioned gold comes into play, right? It is time-tested and war-tested for hundreds of years, and when in a crisis, the majority of people understand it, and that means you can buy stuff with it easily. And there's value in that, guys, because if inflation really hits hard, I don't think people want to be carrying too much cash on hand. Now, if you're the average investor, you gotta know that war is very inflationary for the whole world. It is not rocket science that you need money to fund wars, and the money has to come from somewhere. So it's either you increase the taxes on your people, which isn't popular, or you just fire up the printing presses, right? That is why inflation soars during a war, and that's why even under a gold standard, inflation soared during the years of World War II and after it, right? There will be shortages of goods, prices of energy will rise as the demand for oil also increases, right? This means that there will be a shift towards assets that can't be printed and hold value. This is where gold really shines and beats out Bitcoin thanks to the weight of history the yellow metal has. The issue with Bitcoin is that it hasn't really been tested for a major conflict until today, while gold has seen wars big and small come and go. So if we take a look at the historical price of gold, we can see that gold has been acting as a safe haven when it comes to war and big geopolitical events, right? The price of gold spiked hard in 1979 to the 1980s, in part due to the Russian invasion of Afghanistan and the Iran-Iraq war. Now, the Russian invasion of Ukraine is going to be Bitcoin's first major conflict to see if investors really see it as a safe haven asset. And so far, since the start of the year, gold has gained around 9%, while Bitcoin is still down by 18%. And if we zoom deeper into when the invasion first started, right, gold has been consistently going up while Bitcoin's performance is rather choppy and much more volatile. Will this change? Possibly, but we need to appreciate what the prices are telling us, right? People as a whole find gold to be more attractive to hold during a chaotic time like this. Now, I believe having both gold and Bitcoin is perhaps the smarter thing to do. You want to diversify your risk so that you are covered from both angles. Gold will help you out as a time-tested store of value that is portable and you can use immediately in the physical world. Whether it is to barter for food and shelter or to buy safe passage, having some really isn't a bad idea. But having crypto also makes some sense because you reduce the worry of your gold getting confiscated or robbed. You know, the power to really transport your wealth anywhere across the world in an instant shouldn't be underestimated. I have to say that every war is unique and there are so many factors that will come into play that might make Bitcoin or gold better. No one can really see the future or how things can play out, and that's why the best answer, at least for myself, is to hold both gold and Bitcoin. And between the two, I personally lean more towards gold, but that's just me. So let me know what you think, guys. Do you think that Bitcoin is the better safe haven asset during a war, or is gold still the best to hold? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more gold, silver and finance videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.